In line with a recent comment on one of my videos about doing a vlog or a walk around, here's a little chance to carry on with that sort of idea and have a wander around the neighborhood here in Miramontes in Mexico. The colonia or neighborhood where we live is one of about 500 houses. It has a small, and I mean very small, casual gated entrance, and the same for traffic that is leaving the site. And we're just going to have a wander around the colonia itself and then out onto the street of Miramontes, which is quite a busy street that connects from the tube station at Taxquena and then leads all the way down to a place called Coapa or Galerías Coapa, which is a fairly major shopping area not far from here, about 15 minutes walk south. So I'm just going to switch the camera around and just chat as we have a walk around my neighborhood. It's actually about 5 months now since we lost our beautiful chocolate brown Labrador. He was 14 years old, and I would walk around the estate every evening with him, probably for about 20 minutes, half an hour, and just get to give him a chance for some fresh air when he wasn't at home, either in the house or in the front garden. But the opportunity now just to have a wander around the neighborhood is bringing back a lot of lovely memories and fond memories of Milos, as he was called, our chocolate lab, and just also helping me think about the neighborhood from the perspective of what it's been like to live here for the last few years, on and off, with regular trips back to the UK, to look at the different aspects of things, you know, rework and writing activity. Hello, India. And I think one of the things that I want to be doing as we go on this little walk around the neighborhood is just think about the reasons that I've loved it here so much. I'm going to be back in England in 3 or 4 days' time for several months, and it's going to be really nice to have this video to keep track of some of the things that I've enjoyed. On my left is a restaurant called Vips. It's a chain that's very strong in this part of Mexico, and is a place that I've always, well, not always, but I've often been to, more than anything for breakfast, to see some of the areas around town. The place we're just coming up to, also on the left, there's a massive Walmart. Walmart is the US example or equivalent of the Asda group in England. In fact, Asda was part of Walmart until it recently, last year, in fact, had a buyout, and 2 brothers from the UK bought it and are now running it as their own independent site or activity. So we're just going to walk past Walmart. This is where we would often get the basic provisions, not so much fruit and veg, because we always get those from a local market, a street market that we have here on a Wednesday. But again, I'm just bringing you with me on a little walk around our neighborhood, which is called Miramontes. This is the Pemex fuel station. If you notice all the staff on duty, the guys in the green overalls, each one of those works independently. They don't get a salary, but they get tips based on the work that they do around the garage. This is CitiBanamex, always handy for popping in and getting a bit of cash. In terms of the cost of living in Mexico, I typically will take out about $100, maybe $150 a week for my living expenses, and that includes all of our food for the two of us in our house. Using a debit card here is as easy as it is anywhere in the world, just drawing out the cash and having that to hand. Mexico is very much a cash economy. And the use of credit cards is relatively low. And most people, if you go into a shop, you're only going to be spending £2 or £3, maybe $5 for a meal. And the expectation is that you will pay cash for that process. So I've just turned north and we're walking along Miramontes. What's beautiful about this path runs for about 2 kilometers. It's beautifully maintained, and the local authority, which is the authority for Coyoacan, in the evenings you'll see staff out here working, tying up the plants, trimming the plants, making sure that new buds are ready and taken care of. And on a regular basis they actually change the stock of flowers to tie in with festivals, events, national holidays. I'm recording this video at the beginning of September, and later in the month, the 15th of September, is the day of national Mexican independence. And what we will see is all sorts of street decorations and special lighting put up. I think you can probably hear the music at the petrol station as we walk along. But one of the things I'm going to miss about Mexico in these next few months back in England is the constant playing of music. Whether it's music in the neighbourhood from a house next door, or further along the street, or a party like the one we went to last night, there is always music. And I love that about Mexico. It's almost as if there are no noise restrictions. A party here might go on till 2, 3, 4 in the morning, and nobody will call the police because it's just accepted that maybe they're being noisy this month, but next week or next weekend you're going to be having a party where all the noise will be coming from your house, and that's completely fine. So I'm walking back past Walmart and Vips again, and I'm going to be heading up to maybe have a look at the office depot that's near us and see what else that we can share with you. But I'm really enjoying this. In terms of timing, it's 11:30 on a Sunday morning. The purple buses that you see here are fairly recent. They're new stock, and it costs 8 pesos to travel around the city. It's an unlimited journey as long as you're on the bus. These buses go up and down the street all day long, and I will get one from leaving our colony there, where you can see our man who's on duty today in his red hat, and I'll pay 8 pesos and I'll take one of the buses up to Taxquena, and from there I'll catch the tube and head into the city centre. Here's a sign that I never expected to see when I moved to Mexico the first time in recent years, about 3 years ago, and of course it's a BP fuel station. BP have rigs in the Gulf of Mexico, and I enjoy being a BP shareholder, but it's nice to see a local garage operating from an international basis in our local neighbourhood. BP. I'm just going to put my camera down a minute while I get something out of my pocket. So this is a fairly eclectic walk around video, but it is a vlog, and I know some of you said, Nick, could you do a little vlog? And I thought, let's have this wander around the neighbourhood. The ice cream store on my right is called Santa Clara, and it's a place where we like to come. On a Wednesday, it's 2 ice creams for the price of 1. Banorte is the branch on our right hand side here. Very big branch network, thousands of offices around the country, and again, being a shareholder, you get a fairly reasonable 5% dividend on your stock, and it's a local bank within a few hundred meters of the house. So again, we're just walking up this beautiful central reservation. At night, it's quite common to see folks out here walking their dogs. Folks will go out running or cycling up and down the neighbourhood, and so it's a good feature of the neighbourhood. I like it. Oh look, you can see some Mexican flags on the cars now for independence. Again, these beautifully manicured lawns, regular seating areas, and all the flowers ready for growth as we move into autumn, which really is a late spring here, and a beautiful temperature compared to what I've got in the UK. This is where I got the tripod I'm using at the moment. It's also where I've got some of the light or lamps and lamp units that I've got in the office for sometimes when I record videos. On the corner of that building there, you can see a sign that says Nacional Monte de Piedad. That's one of the pawnbrokers. If you remember, I showed you a nice gold Schaefer fountain pen with the white spot on the cap, but also the Mont Blanc Noblesse pen. I got those from that particular pawnbrokers. Got them for really good prices, so much less than I could have bought them in the UK, and they're 2 of the fountain pens that I will use on a very regular basis because they're such quality pens. The Mont Blanc pen is the Noblesse, and I've got that on a very, very fine nib for the fountain pen. And the Schaefer is a gold pen, and I have it on a medium nib, which is really comfortable to write with. And the flow of ink on that one is really superb. Sunday morning and a nice quiet time on Miramontes. On a Friday night, this street is absolutely heaving. It's rammed with people coming home. The traffic on my left-hand side is the traffic coming south from Mexico City, and completely solid and rammed with transport, particularly with the purple buses and the more unofficial peceros, which are large minibuses, and you pay 6 or 7 pesos on one of those. And again, you stay on that journey for as long as you need to be. But those journeys are much more informal, much more casual, and I'm guessing, well, I'm not guessing, I'm saying that they will have a lot less secure maintenance on the actual vehicles. The new purple series of buses is very much something that the council has set up as being more secure, more official, and also giving a lot more safety for the people who are riding those buses every night. The OXO bus there, the OXXO, is a huge chain of convenience stores that are every few blocks, every few neighbourhoods there are OXO stores, and they're incredibly popular, incredibly busy. You pay a little bit over the odds, like you do in any convenience store, but you're paying that for that convenience. The OXO group has just invested in a group of Texas convenience stores and gas stations or petrol stations, and that is a new inroad into the United States. I've bought some shares for that group, FMX stock, because I think that will have a huge growth, not just because the convenience store network is a real opportunity in the United States, but starting off I'm buying a whole group of several hundred stations in Texas is just one way in, and I think it'll be very quick that group, the OXO group, the FMX stock, Fomento Mexicano, will grow very fast, and I think that's a sensible way of just investing in a small, low priced but very regular stock, which again will generate 3, 4, maybe 5% in terms of dividend, but certainly should see the growth of the stock. It's still very quiet here on a Sunday compared to normal transport. Over to my right is Office Depot, then I've got Petco. In front of me is the Sanborns Cafe. You can just see that with the 3 owls and the crescent moon. That is a group of hundreds of restaurants all across Mexico, and Carlos Slim owns all of them privately, along with one of his telecoms groups. He's a multiple billionaire in Mexico, and his operation there is vast. This is Zapamundi, and it's a section of shops, and every single shop only sells shoes, and there might be 30 different shops, all of which selling shoes. Here's an exception, this one is very much about jewellery, but these are all about different shops. So I've got one called Soft Leather by Janet, I've got Shoes and You, Boys and Girls, Bobito, Margie and Friends, one called a Prada Outlet. I'm not sure to what extent those are genuine Prada shoes, but lots of different options. Again, just leaving the store and looking at different options for buying. So rucksacks, an amazing selection of Victorinox. There's the black one there, which I can see with simple blades. It's got six different pieces plus a toothpick or a tweezer on that black one for 659 pesos. And then others which are far more complicated and costing 3,000 pesos for some of those. very serious pieces of kit. Pizza Hut, hardly a surprise. And here the MG brand of cars from MG Miramontes, selling all sorts of good vehicles. And it's funny to see that the Chinese have taken over the MG brand and made it their own and have a great range of cars. Radio Shack, my local convenience store for batteries, bulbs, keyboards, and a range of things that I might need for the office or for my study. Another branch of Banorte, and that's not even 500 meters from the branch that I walked past earlier. The men in the orange fluorescent jackets are parking attendants, all very informal as a way of being paid, but they will take a percentage or a little coin as a payment for looking after cars. But the same gentleman will also sweep and clean the leaves and the rubbish and tidy up their 2 or 3 little rows of cars, so that for the next time you go shopping, the car park is clean and easily managed. I'm going past now the local coffee shop, which is Tox. It's a brilliant restaurant, very affordable, slightly upmarket, but I can sit and drink endless coffees there for 30 pesos or £1.15, £1.20. And just drink coffee all day long. Obviously I don't do that, but I might go there and sit there for a couple of hours and one coffee that's refillable over the course of the time that I'm there to work on some documents or to work on a new manuscript, or maybe just to sit and read a book and enjoy the fact that I can enjoy that coffee for a little bit more than £1, maybe buy some cakes, just sit and be productive, but in a nice air-conditioned environment that's different from some of the other coffee shops that I might visit and frequent and enjoy. The street here runs parallel to the back of Miramontes, but it's also, if I follow that down for another 10 minutes, that leads to the street at the back of our house, and a street that also parallels the huge naval base. It's the offices of the Secretary of State for the Navy, but it's a huge military base just 100 yards from our house. Every day there is a helicopter flight in from the Secretary of State coming to and leaving the base, but also lots of other troop helicopters bringing in and moving the naval staff to different incidents or locations where they are required to give some armed attention around the country. But it's a huge base. It also contains the Naval University and one of many of the naval hospitals around Mexico City, but it's a great place. In the morning I often hear the military band training and working there, so they will march, sometimes they will march and play their instruments, their orchestral instruments, and their band will play as they move around the base. Just across from the road here, you see a grey building. It's called Azteca Estudios, and that is a huge compound for TV shows and recording, including things like The Voice Mexico. That is over there on the other side of the street. Often we will have guests stay with us on the Airbnb basis that we operate from the house, and they might stay for a couple of weeks. Sometimes all contestants will come and stay with us for just a few days. Other times engineers might stay with us for 2 or 3 months. But the Azteca Studios is a well-regarded place, and also it's a large employer for the neighbourhood. Turning down this street, which is called Pirámide de la Luna, or the Pyramid of the Loon, sorry, Pyramid of the Moon. This is a really nice residential street, very quiet, some lovely houses on here, and also a couple of neighbourhood parks. In fact, it's one park that has a section either side of the street. But it's a good place to be. This is the cafe where you've often seen me writing, certainly in my shorts. You'll see me writing here on a regular basis. And then in here is the actual coffee shop itself. I'm just going to walk up this road for a little while before I go out for lunch. This is, like I've said, Pirámide de la Luna, or Pyramid of the Moon, and it's a nice street. I'm going to walk on the side of the road just to get a sense of what it's like and to see some aspects of it. Look at this one, number 87. It's got a video, not a video, it's got a poster on the wall getting ready for Mexican independence, 15th of September. Very varied types of construction. Lots of neighbourhoods like this, people will have bought a plot of land and then arranged for a house to be built. So the designs vary enormously from the very traditional, somebody selling some product here, so some bread rolls, mango con chile, tamarindo, piña, just simple products, 15-20 pesos. You can knock on the door and buy whatever it is that a different household is selling. I like this one, the red brick. Often in Mexico, red brick construction is covered up with a very clean white plaster, and so you lose that red brick. But these are nice, there's some nice traditional styles here. Do you remember I talked about the fact that there's one large park which runs between the neighbourhoods? So this is beautiful, it's well maintained, people are very proud of it, and they will use the space for growing their own plants, but also taking care of the weeding process. Here's a nice little one about the pollinization of plants and biodiversity. And again, these parks are often constructed between different colonias, so everybody has access to them, and they are great opportunities just to step out of your house and enjoy the space that is definitely built here for residents to enjoy. And if I walk back to Pirámide de la Luna, you can also see across here, in fact, look at that beautiful metal bench. And there's the logo, República Mexicana. Some of these benches, and I'll try and show you another one, will have the name of the local alcaldia, or the area relative to the local mayorship. And for us, that is Coyoacan. Again, look at the variety and the different styles of the houses. Almost all of them, you can't get a sense of what the houses are like inside, because the custom here is large metal gates or fences, so that you don't see inside the houses. Very different from England, where you walk past 10 houses, you might be able to see in 10 living rooms or 10 front gardens, and everything is far more open. And everywhere you go in Mexico City, you can hear dogs. So one thing is music, another one, if you listen carefully, you can hear the dogs. Not from every house, but from quite a lot of the different houses.
Andando bien necesotes, estaban bien borrachotes, cuando llegó el tecolote, tuyuyuy que se mete en ella, tuyuyuy que ya se metió. ¡Zapatele, zapatele, comadre!
And that is my Sunday afternoon, or my Sunday lunchtime coffee and a little bit of food at a little coffee shop called Just What Mother Wanted. Every Sunday there are regional dancers there, normally from Veracruz, because that's where the family who own the coffee shop come from. But today that pair of dancers from the north of Mexico, from Sonora and some of the neighbouring states. But that's a little walk around my neighbourhood. Not much to report, a quiet Sunday afternoon, but it gives you a little sense of where we are, what it's like living here, and some of the regular activities that you can enjoy if you were in this part of town. Coyoacan, and more specifically a neighbourhood called Miramontes, or View of the Mountains, because Mexico City is ringed by mountains wherever you are. As soon as you go up 3, 4, 5 stories of the buildings, you can see the mountain ranges all around this city.